G'day, it's Jamie and welcome to Where's My Yowie. Today I'm reading an old newspaper article about a Yowie sighting at Phillip Island in 1849, so we'll get into it. This was published in Melbourne's The Herald on Tuesday the 22nd of September 1885, titled The Chronicles of Early Melbourne. Historical, anecdotal and personal, from 1835 to 1851, by Garryowen, the Bunyip. Stories of this mysteriously superstitious amphibious monster occasionally sprang up, to be believed by the credulous and laughed at by the majority. In October 1849, Mr. John Edwards, managing clerk to Mr. Henry Moore, solicitor, retailed the following questionable yarn, which he solemnly avouched to be a fact. He was on board the Thames steamer, endeavouring to intercept a defaulting runaway named Hoverden, supposed to have levanted in a Sydney-bound vessel. The Thames put into Phillip Island, and whilst there, an object was seen one day squatted on a rock in a lake, and the spectators could not well make out what in the world it was. It appeared to be some 7 feet in longitude, and looked half man, half baboon, with a long feathered neck of the emu. 5 gunshots were discharged at it with these effects. At number 1, it only shook its head. The second caused it to grin fiercely and show its teeth. With the third, it backed towards the water. The 4th shot was answered by a loud noise composed in equal parts of growl and shout, whilst the 5th and last was acknowledged by a jump into the air and a flinging out of the hind legs and a disappearance into the lake. The narrator was positive it was the Bunyip, but only such monsters of the deep do not exhibit from the tops of rocks. I should be disposed to think it was very like a whale. Edwards was given at times to the amusement vulgarly termed drawing the long bow, and this was doubtless a specimen of that sort of archery. The end. That's a pretty interesting story. I like the description of it. 7 feet in length, looked half man and half baboon, and with the long feathered neck of the emu is really strange, because when I first read this story and with the long feathered neck of the emu, I thought these guys have seen a seal. But on thinking about it, you've got John Edwards, the clerk of who's a lawyer. He, like, educated man, he would have known what a seal was, and like living around Melbourne area and all that, they would have known, and Phillip Island, they would have known what seals were by far. But what clinches it for me of being the Yowie is it looked half man and half baboon, but the bit that really gets me to think it was a Yowie was after they fired the 5th shot at it, it said it jumped into the air, flinging out its hind legs and disappeared in the lake. Well, seals don't have legs, so it must have been a Yowie. Okay, and then we'll get on to the journalist, Garryowen, whose real name is Edmund Finn. Garryowen was his pen name, and he wrote the book, The Chronicles of Early Melbourne. He kept numerous notes recording the daily happenings in the settlement, paying a special attention to the little details in people's lives and the public events around him. No one was safe from his keen eye and wicked sense of humour. Garryowen, Edmund Finn, came to Melbourne as a young man in 1841. He worked at the Port Phillip Herald for 13 years and then became the clerk of the Legislative Council of Victoria. And in this role he met Charles Duffy, a Member of Parliament and fellow Irishman, and on hearing Finn's amusing tales of life in early Melbourne, he urged him to write an anecdotal history, and the result was a 1,000-page work that was published as the Chronicles of Early Melbourne in 1888. Okay, that's it from me. I'll get back to you all next time. Bye.